Born in Gobabas, Omaheke. 22 years old, obviously. Yes, I just finished my law degree, so I think it's safe to call myself a lawyer now. And I think that's generally who I am at a glance.
How did you get involved in politics?
How did I get involved in politics? I started volunteering at a very young age. At the age of 15, I started volunteering for an organization called Change One's Life Namibia. So it really focused on feeding, clothing, teaching young children that are orphans. And obviously through that journey, I published quite a bit on issues of inequality, gender-based violence, the economy, and that sort of created the backdrop of being a voice for young people, of being a voice for marginalized people, and being a voice for vulnerable people. And I think the rest is really history. In high school, obviously, those leadership structures. In varsity, campaigning for representative for Faculty of Law. I was Speaker of Parliament at the University of Namibia. So it's really just cumulatively how we joined the student structures, the student political structures. The Office of the First Lady has a program called Be Free that is really dedicated at empowering young women. And obviously, young people have the opportunity to volunteer there. And I have, through opportunities, have I volunteered in, not necessarily in the office, but through the Be Free program. Sonja, I think we need to start with what gives the president a mandate to appoint. The president, according to the Constitution, has a prerogative to appoint parliamentarians. Obviously, we've seen that the president has created a precedent of empowering young people and of giving them an opportunity. It's nothing new to the Geingob administration. What he has used that power that he has for, we have seen, is to promote an agenda of inclusivity, is to promote an agenda of empowering the marginalized groups, but particularly, as we've seen last year with the appointment of Emma and this year with my appointment, that he's appointed young people. The question that you want to know is, you want to justify and rationalize how a young 22-year-old is the person that he chose. And this is a leadership journey that is public. I'm not a new face to television. I'm not a new face to newspapers. Your newspaper, The Namibian, gave me a full spread on the work I've done in spaces of volunteering, in the work I've done in SADC Youth Forum, many of these platforms. And I think you shouldn't ask me that question, but you should ask the appointing authority how he found it justified to see the potential, to see the capacity, to see the skill in a young woman that he chose to empower. So many of these things form that cumulative choice that he made. You look at things such as the legal background I have. You look at things such as the key position I played in student politics. You look at the demographic that I represent. You look at the region that I come from. You see, there are many factors that influence that decision. So I think the long and short really is that the president is using the presidential prerogative that he has to advance an agenda of inclusivity and to advance an agenda of empowering young people to take over.
What do you believe you bring to Parliament?
I think importantly, what I bring to Parliament, 1, legal expertise for the SOPO party parliamentarians that we have. 2, representation of young people in Parliament. Representation is very important. Why is representation important? It's because it gives young people a seat at the table. And number 3, legislative interests. It's one thing for young people's voices to be amplified in Parliament, but it's another thing for young people to be driving the agenda of the amplification of young people's voices. It's important that young people have a seat at the table and that they're part and parcel of making the laws in the country that affect the greatest demographic, which is the youth, that is not only on a Namibian stage, but that is on an African stage. It is no secret that the youth form the greatest demographic. What the president has done and demonstrated with this decision is that he's bridging that divide between the people that are in power versus the people that are going to be in power 20, 30, 40 years from now. And that has been demonstrated by this decision that he's taken. Sonja, we all come there to represent our political parties, but we all come there to represent the greater Namibian population. So there are issues that we're going to agree on, and there are issues that we're going to disagree on. It's no secret that opposition parties and the ruling party may have the same issues. The challenge is usually how to implement the change that we want. So I belong to the SWAPO party, and that's not a secret. Are we going to differ on issues? Yes. Are we going to agree on certain issues? Perhaps. And I think that's the nature of Parliament. It's not going to be the first time it happens. It's been happening. It's not the first time it's going to happen. I was appointed, Sonja, by the President of the Republic of Namibia, who's the President of the SWAPO party. That means that the voice that is echoed by the President is the voice of the party. And that means that that is the voice of the Youth League, it's the voice of the Women's Council, and it's the voice of the mother body. Any other queries about that is the voice that is echoed, and that is the voice that we listen to. Any other queries about the party, you can write a letter to the party. I think for my personal trajectory, I do believe in diplomacy, I do believe in foreign relations, and I do think issues of trade, all of these things obviously come down to the fact that we are not an island on our own, we're part of a global community. So, I mean, perhaps if it so comes out that is the trajectory I take, then yes. But I do think that international relations forms the backdrop of where Namibia is globally. A lot of our laws come internationally. Our human rights law is based on international standards. And is that something that I'm going to champion? Yes, 100%. I have a number of role models. I think my biggest role model is my grandmother. The humanity that she has shown in her 75 years of life really has inspired me a lot. Yes, and she stays in the Hage region. She's really been the greatest role model that has shaped me. Obviously, you have other role models, globally, and you have role models in different areas of your life. But I think the overwhelming one has really been my grandmother. In my 22 years of life, I think what I am proud of is really the impact that I've been able to make on the lives of young individuals. I think going to Parliament at the age of 22 sends a message to young women, young girls. It sends a message to young girls of the Hage region. It sends a message to young girls raised by single mothers, and it sends a message to marginalized people that anything is possible. Anything that you really, your wildest dreams. I mean, I would have never, if somebody told me 5 years ago you're going to Parliament at the age of 22, I would have told them you're crazy. So really just the impact that my journey and my story has had on individual young people, that has been most inspiring, and that has been something to be proud of.
What is your message to young people?
I think young people must really go all out if you set your mind to something. Be resilient, be strong in the midst of storms. But most importantly, just whatever you desire is possible. Go for it. Go for it. Study, put your mind to whatever it is you want to achieve. Nothing you do is in vain.